A lot of people want to make money, but they just don't know how to. As every human being, they will create their own mental blocks as to why they can't do it or why they can't be the next successful person. That's really the hardest thing, your first results. Because everything after that is just snowballs to make more money. It's more like when you go play bowling, and you know how they have those little kids things that are inflatables, so you don't miss the angles. That's what we're trying to do, and like have people with that mentality, so they don't go offset. Back in the day, you could have uploaded a product from an invoice that had a minimum of 10 items. Now they're seeing how some products you need 100 units, 200, 400. So I feel like this is going to cloud a lot of fear in people before actually taking the step, which in my opinion, for those people like you guys that actually want to win, I feel like this is a much better time because you have a lot of sellers that are scared of moving forward with that.
Hello and welcome to Seller Assistant Talks. I'm Oleg Kuzmenkov, the founder of Seller Assistant, our tool designed for searching and analyzing products for online arbitrage and wholesale on Amazon. We help thousands of sellers to run and grow their business on Amazon. In this podcast, we share tips, strategies, and expert insights to help you succeed as an Amazon seller. Today, we are going to talk about the problems Amazon wholesale sellers are facing in 2025 and how you can pivot your business to further succeeding. If you find this topic interesting, hit the like button right now and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. We have a special guest today. His name is Stefan Asciutto. He's been an Amazon seller for the last 7 years. Originally come from marketing background in launching his own product until he stumbled on reselling brand name goods on Amazon. Hi, Steph. I'm happy to see you on my podcast today. How are you?
Hi, how's it going? I'm doing fantastic today.
So, Steph, say some words about yourself and your background, so our users better understand why they need to watch this video.
Absolutely. So, my name is Steph. I'm 25 years old. Ever since I was 17 years old, I jumped into doing e-commerce, and I did absolutely everything to try to make money online, as every first dropout did. I had a more of a Shopify marketing background until I realized the power of Amazon selling, which is basically selling products without having the need to run advertisement, which I'm talking about the third-party reselling method, not a private label route. And as I got an experience with selling on Amazon, I then paid tens of thousands of dollars to work with some of the highest mentors in the time. And as I was growing my business, I was able to scale it up very quickly. But then I realized that I had my own bottlenecks. And I was using several different tools to try to be more optimized. And it was just not enough. And dealing with the headaches as an Amazon seller, I realized that I could have just done something else myself, which was build a software that would fix my problems and be a tight fit for my business. And later it became just a more valuable business that I wanted to approach. And then came the creation of Apex application.
Now you help Amazon sellers to run their wholesale business, right?
Primarily, we have our Apex application software, which helps them streamline their whole business. But every time I talk to my customers, I realize that they're doing mistakes that is actually costing them to be actually successful. And they could be as rookie mistakes, such as having a Gmail and not a professional email address when reaching out to suppliers, them not talking professionally, or them being scared to do the actual steps needed. I feel like a lot of people are scared to work with prep centers despite not them doing a lot of volume, but it is a necessity when you first have a commercial warehouse, and then you could approach wholesalers that you can talk with a bit more professionalism regarding how your business runs, which makes you be different from the hundreds of people applying for that same supplier.
Looks like the problem is how new sellers approach Amazon, right?
Absolutely.
How you can help them to solve it?
First is making them believe that this is very achievable. That's the number one thing. A lot of people want to make money, but they just don't know how to. And as every human being, they will create their own mental blocks as to why they can't do it or why they can't be the next successful person. And then there's also a different belief, which is they think this is internet money and it's as easy as having your laptop and they can shortcut their way to success. It's understanding that this is a real business, but because you're dealing with actual distributors and people, you have to have a certain level of professionalism. So it's finding that balance that makes people understand what are the actual steps needed. And once someone has a clear idea to what that path is, how do they execute it on time for them to see their first results? Because that's really about the hardest thing, your first results. Because everything after that is just snowballs to make more money.
In your opinion, what is the biggest problem wholesale sellers facing these days?
A lot of people, they will get on Google and actually find the suppliers, and then they will realize that they get rejected from those distributors to work with them. When I was talking to some of my clients and I asked them, okay, do you have an LLC? They don't have an LLC. They don't have a resale license. So it's like, how rookie can mistakes be done? Then it's like, okay, once you actually have an established business and you have a proper paperwork, it is by maybe having a website that shows you kind of a distribution presence and knowing how to talk. So yes, you could find the suppliers. That is probably easier nowadays than it was before. But then it's like, how do you convince them to actually take you in as a client? And that is, you need to have sales experience, customer experience when you're dealing with a different company, because you're trying to sell yourself at that point. You're trying to sell your business that you are someone that they would rather be working with than the hundreds of other people applying with them. That's something that's harder to teach people, but with practice, it gets easier.
And this is not about the software at all, right?
This is not about the software at all. Yeah.
Yeah, but why did you develop software?
I developed the software because back when I was running my business, I was operating using tons of Google Sheets. And what you have to understand about Amazon is it's a marketplace, which means that the price is being adjusted by other sellers. So things that are profitable today are not going to be profitable next month and vice versa. So I first built my software to be able to track different products' prices to see which ones are profitable. But then it's also about workflows. And once you understand as an Amazon seller that the number one thing that you should do to make more money, it is to build purchase orders, we went ahead and built on top of it a purchase order builder. And then with that came inventory management and just how many tools you could stack that help the workflow of that client or that seller that is operating that business.
Yeah, got it. Now you're talking about the future of seller assistant. We're also heading in this direction, and at the same point of the time, we're going to be, compete to each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we see the same problem here. People need to get their work organized somehow, and we try to build for them tools which make them finish some, small but necessary steps to run their business more organized. This is what we are doing at Seller Assistant, and I know that you have it done at Apex Applications. Can you explain what are the Apex Applications for and how it helps Amazon sellers?
Apex Application is a tool designed to help Amazon wholesalers and Amazon sellers that are doing OA that want to transition into doing wholesale. So what we built is not just a software tool, but it's a structure on how a business should run. So like every feature, every module is designed to what are the things that I need to touch on today. So it is keeping track of your purchase orders, of your inventory, of your reviews, and of course your margin. And something I want to talk about today, maybe a bit more later time of the video, is understanding GPPA, your gross profit per ASIN. Which is a number that a lot of sellers, that if you don't know what that is, then you don't know what you're doing regarding running your business. As an Amazon seller, you have tons of SKUs that are being sold. And if you're not using a repricer or you're doing manual pricing, you don't really know exactly how much profit you're making per every unit. You could look at your P&L every day and see how much margin and ROI you did, but what is your gross profit per unit sold? Once you know that average, and let's say you sell 1,000 units a month, if your gross profit per ASIN is $3, congratulations, your business is cash flowing $3,000 per month in profit. Now, with that number, there's only two ways that you can make more money. Increase the number of units that you're selling or increase your gross profit per ASIN. So it is, when you're building purchase orders, it's finding what items you can have that number be higher than that average. Or when you're restocking, it is how can you make sure that you don't run out of stock and you are on time and efficient with your replenishments. So you have better metrics when you're keeping account. And it's more like when you go play bowling and you know how they have those little kids things that are inflatables so you don't miss the angles. That's what we're trying to do, and like have people with that mentality so they don't go offset.
You allow people to optimize suppliers, right, and choose those one which drive more, gross profit per agent, right?
Yes,
Great.
exactly.
I love it because the money always a bottleneck in wholesale business, and if you have a lot of suppliers, you need to choose those which make more money for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when exactly online arbitrage sellers should switch and shift to wholesale, right? And it's like I believe this is very important right now because Amazon make life of online arbitrage sellers harder and harder. So it's time to switch to wholesale. For me, it's time right now. But what is your opinion? How do you approach this?
Regarding with doing online arbitrage, I feel like that becomes the switch of doing online arbitrage to doing Amazon wholesale is I am doing a side hustle versus I'm actually running a business. If you're buying items from Walmart, you could find items that are going to make you some money, but how are you going to actually, make, forecasted in real time, events for your business if you're not buying in bulk or have no limits to how many quantities you can buy from that item? And we're not even talking about the Amazon restrictions and the problems that you could have from buying items online. It is how you can be more stable as a business, where, like I mentioned, you transition from something that's more passive to something more realistic.
It's true. Doing online arbitrage, you never know. What's product going to be on sale next week, for example, right? You cannot predict your inventory. You need to green all the day to find new products, and there is no stability. And moreover, Amazon started, to track your supplier chain. And if you buy from Walmart, you cannot prove it. So it can cause the problems to your Amazon account, and you can get some account health issues related to products you sell on the online arbitrage. By the way, if you want to know what products on Amazon cause account health issues, check Seller Assistant IP Alert extension, and it shows you all the ASINs and brands that cause account health issues and why such issues were occurred and what the Amazon enforcement action was applied to seller. Also try Seller Assistant, and this feature also included to the Seller Assistant extension as well. So Steph, what about proof of supply chain? Is it working wholesale? All right.
Regarding the supply chain verification, a lot of sellers could make the small mistake of finding suppliers that are not reputable. So they will maybe find deals on, on WhatsApp groups or Discord or Telegram, and those are things that are a major red flag. First, when you find a supplier that carries a certain brand or product that you like, the best first step to do is actually reach out to the brand itself and contact them to see if that supplier is an authorized distributor. If you have a green light from the brand, then you don't have any issues because you could purchase that item. If Amazon ever comes back to you, you just upload that invoice because you already know it will follow back and trail to the actual brand and manufacturer. That is the number one thing that people should do. And it does not cost anything. It's just picking up the phone and making a phone call. I do want to add one more thing regarding to the online arbitrage space before we move forward. And I understand why people do online arbitrage. Mainly it's because a lack of capital. I understand living in America nowadays is very expensive. And first, before even starting a business, you want to test out the waters. So it makes a lot of sense. And I encourage it actually for people that want to get started but don't have a feel for it to kind of test out the process and send out your first few shipments. But it is also very easy that other sellers that have the same idea as you are going to be competing on that same product. And that is why items that are doing a lot with online arbitrage tend to have a lot more sellers and have steeper buy box drops, which could make you have a hold of inventory or sell at a loss.
Yeah.
But it is a great tester for new people that have never sold on Amazon.
A lot of people outside the United States also do online arbitrage in the United States. And the reason why they're doing so, because live outside the United States is much cheaper than inside. United States, they earn relatively great money for their own countries until Amazon start, getting products. And now, if you don't have, LC formed in the United States, you run your business outside the United States. It's a really big problem for them because they have less products available for reselling because of gating. And this is the point where they might need to make a decision if they switch to wholesale and start making business more seriously, or they quit. And unfortunately, a lot of people quit. They don't know how to switch to wholesale, or they don't want to, or it's expensive for them. At Seller Assistant, we try to solve this by providing people with tools that help them to taste wholesale at least. And for example, we have a price list analyzer for them, and they can, being on a subscription at Seller Assistant, they are able to upload some price list and check if they can sell products, if it works for them. We try to give them with a tool that help them to switch to wholesale. The problem still exists, and I know that you run some weekly calls where you help people to better understand Amazon wholesale. Tell us a little bit more about these calls and how to attend these calls and how to benefit from them.
In my software APIs applications, we have several tier plans, as low as $50 per month, ranging as high as $600 for people that have big teams. What I decided to do for people that are of the annual plans is they have access to weekly coaching with me. And that really stems out to like this. Imagine a room with 20, 30 sellers, and it ranges from questions as simple as ungating or getting first started versus sellers that are doing relatively good volume, asking how they could be more efficient and how they could hire VAs and what responsibility should they be giving to further expand their business. A great question that I had this Monday was, there's a seller that is doing roughly $100,000 per month in revenue. And he's like, should I get my own warehouse? He was looking at some lease locations, and I quickly had to stop him. Look, it all happens to do with the individual that wants to sell. Personally speaking, I believe that you could have a much more streamlined business by working with reputable prep centers than having your own warehouse. If you want to do it because you at some point might open up a prep center, different story. But if you want to have the luxury of being an e-commerce seller, which means you're an online seller, with the magic of your laptop, you're making revenue, I believe you should be as distant as possible from touching products. And that is my own ideology of why I decided to sell on Amazon in the first place. But yeah, I broke down for him the numbers that if you're going to put in consideration the prepping materials, labor, rent, electricity, gas, it's going to cost you far more money to actually ship out products than working with a prep center charging 60 cents a unit.
What trends are you noticing or hearing from Amazon sellers? What's happening in the niche right now? What do you notice?
I'm noticing that being ungated has become a lot more difficult. You have now, back in the day, you could have uploaded a product from an invoice that had a minimum of 10 items. Now they're seeing how some products you need 100 units, 200, 400, which is for some people like they have to make much bigger POs to even be ungated. And they have a fear that what if that invoice doesn't go through and they get stuck with the inventory? So I feel like this is going to cloud a lot of fear in people before actually taking the step, which in my opinion, for those people like you guys that actually want to win, I feel like this is a much better time because you have a lot of sellers that are scared of moving forward with that.
Yeah, we noticed that a lot of sellers just quit, but those who stay, they grow. It's a good time to be in this business because the competition went down. But it became difficult. But competition not so hard as was it before. So it's a good time, I guess.
One thing that to keep in mind is you have something new as like Walmart being a new thing now. And what that is doing is, and I recommend this to anybody, I do not recommend people that sell on Amazon to jump into Walmart unless your business is doing fairly well. And I mean very well. Because if you have not been able to grow your Amazon business, you're gonna just waste your time by spending more time growing a different business on a different platform. So because of now a lot of this fear, lots of sellers that are not doing that well are switching over to a different platform, which is freeing up the market space. You see buy box prices going higher, and there's much more opportunity for people to actually dominate the Amazon marketplace.
I believe that you have to think about new channels only if your current one is exhausted, and if you have some room to grow inside the Amazon, do it in Amazon. Because if you split your efforts, you lose your focus, and it's not good for business. Thank you so much, Steph, for being with me today, and it was interesting to speak with you about your business and how you can how you help Amazon sellers. Thank you, everyone who joined us today. I hope you found this episode valuable. Stay tuned for more episodes where we bring more experts and share more tips to help you succeed on Amazon. If you find this interesting, hit the like button right now and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new videos. Leave your comment below and we definitely respond. Don't forget to check out sellerassistant.app website for tools and resources to boost your Amazon business. See you next video. Bye.
Thank you so much, Oleg, for inviting me. Check out Seller Assistant, one of the greatest tools that you could do as a new Amazon seller.
Yeah. By the way, the link to Steph's website in the description, so check it out. And maybe you find a software which can change your approach to Amazon wholesale business. Bye.